This is real food, baby. This is so easy to make. It's another one of those 30-second specials. Game day. What does that mean? Well, it means that I get to stand in the kitchen all day cooking for my husband and his buddies who are going to be plopping down on the couch over there watching a game all day. Now, they're expecting all kinds of snacks, and I'll give them snacks. They're expecting BLTs, burgers, chips, and I'll give them BLTs, burgers, and chips, just not what they're expecting. I'll be giving them burgers, BLTs, and chips that are vegan, of course. You know, I'm starting out with the BLTs. Why? Because bacon is so big these days. Do you know that some foodies have called bacon? This is the year of the bacon. Do you believe it? Bacon is everywhere. It's even in chocolate. I've even heard of bacon-covered truffles. Well, you know, with all of that bacon rolling around, you think this country's headed for a massive heart attack. You know, they also call pork the other white meat. Well, I'd like you to meet the other white unmeat. That's right, you're thinking that doesn't look like bacon. Well, you're right, it isn't bacon, it's tofu. Tofu? Are you kidding me? How is tofu related to bacon? Well, actually, they're pretty close. I'll tell you why. 90% of the soybeans grown in this country is fed to livestock. That means bacon is sort of like soybeans. But imagine if we just ate the soybeans directly, we'd be saving so much energy, so much water, so much land, and the animals. So I'm going to flavor this tofu and make it taste just like bacon. I know you don't believe me yet, but wait till you see it. All right, I've sliced up some firm tofu. I'm cooking it in some oil here, and I'm just going to let it sizzle and cook and brown on one side. Then we're going to flip it over, and that's when the real magic happens. All right, in the meantime, I'm going to show you what you can do with tofu by making some mayonnaise as well. Now, tofu is wonderful. It's really, really plain. That's one of the big complaints about tofu, but that's why it's so special. You can flavor it like bacon, and you can make mayonnaise out of it. So I'm going to do that right here. I've got some medium tofu here. That's firm in there, and this is medium here. And I'm going to put my tofu right into my blender. I'm going to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And I'm going to sweeten it with just a touch of agave. All right, I'm going to add a dash of sea salt, about half a teaspoon or so, and then a couple of tablespoons of vegetable oil. This is grapeseed oil. You can use canola or safflower. Even olive oil would work for this. And then we're just going to puree it for a minute. And voila! Let me just taste that. Now I've got my instant dressing mayonnaise that'll be fabulous on our BLTs and our veggie burgers. All right, let's go back to the tofu here. Now it's nice and brown on one side, so I'm going to flip it over now and cook the other side. If you cook it just right, it's really crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. And in the BLTs, the boys will never know that it's tofu. We're going to let that go for a few more minutes. Then I'm going to pull out my secret ingredients and flavor it. And this whole kitchen is going to be wafting in the aromas of bacon. Let that go for a minute. Okay, taking a look at this bacon here, or the tofu cooking in the pan, and it is looking nice and brown. I flipped it over, it's browning beautifully, and I'm ready to season it with my special ingredients that will fill this room with the aroma of bacon. Let me just pull them out of my cabinet over here. All right, it's so easily seasoned. I've got 3 seasoning ingredients. First, I'm going to put a splash of soy sauce on here, and that's going to give it that nice salty flavor of bacon. I'm going to follow through with a little bit of nutritional yeast, which is yeast that's grown primarily for nutritional purposes, full of vitamin B12 and B and protein and calcium, other minerals and vitamins. And the final ingredient, liquid smoke. About half a teaspoon of that. And now it's beginning to smell like bacon. And you put this in a BLT and no one knows the difference. It's a favorite of my kids. Even my son, my teenage son, loves it and makes it for all his friends. Actually, he's not a teenager anymore. He's going to be 21 this year. So I guess, well, he still acts like a teenager. Anyway, okay, doesn't that smell good? All right, I'm just going to let that sizzle for another second, and then I'm going to go and work on the kale chips. Now, I know the boys aren't going to be expecting to have kale for their lunch. They're expecting potato chips or French fries as their side dish. But I'm going to serve them kale. You know that only about 20% of the population actually meets the 5-a-day quota for fruits and vegetables? Well, I'm going to make sure they get at least 2 servings. I'm going to make kale chips, which will knock them off their socks.
Like bacon. What's that?
They said it smells like bacon.
Wow.
All right.
That was awesome.
What I'm going to do is make kale chips by tearing up kale. And you can use any kind of kale, Russian, curly. You don't want the stems. So all you have to do is tear the leaves off and get rid of the stems.
All right, back to the action.
Just like that. And this shrinks quite a bit, so you can go through about 2 bunches of kale for about 3 or 4 guys. So they can get a lot of fruit, lots of veggies this way. It's fabulous. It's just like potato chips, actually even better. Gets really, really crunchy and crisp. Okay, now all we have to do is season it with a little bit of oil and some salt. Now, you can flavor it in additional ways by putting garlic powder or fresh garlic or onion powder, a little bit of cayenne, whatever. But we're going to keep it real simple today. And I've got some special salt here. This is smoked salt. This will give it that sort of fancy schmancy flavor. But of course, you can just use plain table salt as well. And we're going to sprinkle on a little bit of olive oil. And just toss that really well. What a way to get your veggies, don't you think? All right, well, now that the kale's in the oven, I'm ready to make the BLTs for the boys. I swear, this is what they left me. That's not enough for, well, it's enough for me. I think I'll make myself a BLT to fortify myself while I make the burgers. I am hungry. The good thing about this tofu mayo is that I can slather it on. I don't have to worry about all the high fat of a regular mayo. I'm just going to slather my mayo on. Get some lettuce, some wonderful, juicy, ripe tomato slices, and the rest of the bacon. Just enough for moi. Ah, it looks so good. All right, cut that in half. Now, don't you think that the cook deserves to eat once in a while? Orgasmic. Anyone have a napkin?